So this was specifically the timeline of events. 29th July, 1 a.m. Jody dropping off her friend Donna at her house. A man pulls up at 1:10. As they were saying goodbye, he shoots 5 shots. Donna dead on the ground in minutes. Jody shot in the hip, screaming. At 1:15, the man leaves the scene. Now, how was the perpetrator caught? He was caught in one of the most unlikely fashions. He was not caught committing the crime, he was not caught in the process of it, and he wasn't caught leaving the scene. He was caught because he was double parked in front of a fire hydrant. So, on August 8th, 1977, Cecilia Davis, on the right with her dog, was walking. It's presumed that David was a man that she saw in the car and started driving. His car was ticketed for being double parked in front of a fire hydrant. It was presumed that he was revisiting the scene, as most serial killers do. He was revisiting the scene most likely because of the fact of the elation and enjoyment he got from revisiting the Markauskas and Volante crime scene. He was trying to relive the moment and get a taste of what it was like when he killed them. It just so happened that Cecilia Davis was walking her dog. Brett David saw her, started driving, so she ran home and heard 5 shots behind her. She reported to police 2 days later, and as they were investigating ticketed cars at the scene, they saw that it belonged to David Berkowitz in his 1970 Ford Galaxy. On August 10th, police arranged to meet with Davis at his apartment. They saw items in his car: a hunting rifle, ammunition, and most damningly, letters addressed to the inspector, Timothy Dowd. Now, they wanted to call it in and wait for a warrant, but as they were waiting, David walked out. Detective John Falatico pointed a gun at his head, and David remarked, "Well, you've got me." You can see the parking ticket on the left, assigned to his car, the items found in his car in the middle, and Cecilia Davis again with her dog. Who was involved in capturing him? Obviously, Cecilia Davis was indirectly involved capturing him, but is attributed to Detective Mark Falatico and Detective Edward Zigo were the arresting officers that brought him in. As you can see, he doesn't look too sad. If anything, he looks elated that he got caught and is receiving attention. On the right especially, he doesn't look like he has a care in the world. What of note happened during the trial? During questioning, he over and over again said, the dogs were the ones that caused the killing. Specifically, his neighbor in Yonkers, Sam, and his black Labrador. The incessant barking every night was the reason for the killings. He said the dogs wanted blood of young women, and he did that to shut them up. He said a 3,000-year-old demon was actually the dogs. And when he wrote the letters to the press and to the police, he always signed Son of Sam, Sam being the owner of the dog. On the right, you can see the Black Labrador, which is supposedly a demon dog. What was the final sentence? October 10th, 1977 was the first competency hearing by Dr. Abrason evaluating David's sanity, and he stated, quote, "While defendant shows paranoid traits, they do not interfere with his fitness to stand trial," end quote. April 78, the second competency hearing, his IQ was 115, verbal 117, performance 110. Doctors agreed that he was a psychopathic personality with chromatic, paranoid, and hysterical traits. May of 78, Berkowitz pleaded guilty to 6 of the shootings. He was to be sentenced at 11 a.m. Berkowitz entered the courtroom in a state of hysteria and panically chanting, quote, "Stacy is a whore. Stacy is a whore. I'll shoot them all," end quote. The judge postponed sentencing pending additional psychiatric reports. May 6, 1978, Berkowitz was sentenced to 25 consecutive life sentences to be served back-to-back, or 365 years in prison. He was sent to Attica Correctional Facility in upstate New York. In July of that year, he got attacked in prison, requiring 58 stitches, and has 8-inch scar as a result. In 1987, Berkowitz accepts Christ as his personal savior and rededicates his life. He eventually becomes an evangelical Christian. Now, I'm about to play a video from the Netflix TV show Mindhunter, where 2 fictional characters who are based off real people meet Berkowitz in discussing his relevance to current, at the time, this is set in the 1980s, a real-life murderer named BTK, who had similar personality traits to David.
I'm surprised the FBI hasn't come sooner. The night I was arrested, the mayor came to see me. He came down to my cell in the middle of the night.
We fit you in as soon as we could.
So you're talking to other people?
A few. But no one who's done what you did. You held an entire city in thrall. Girls got their hair cut so you wouldn't single them out. Discos closed early. It was the largest...
The character known as Bill Tench is referring to the fact that in the summers where the murders took place, women did in fact cut their hair and change their hairstyle not to be singled out by him, and nightclubs and bars closed early all over the Bronx and New York.
Task force in New York ever assembled.
100 years from now, people will still know the name Son of Sam.
I always say, if you want to learn how to paint, go straight to the artist.
What does that mean?
You got so much publicity, there's a killer out in Kansas who idolizes you. He's writing letters to the press, and he's writing about you.
Is he shitting me?
Guy's killed 7 so far.
He even made a symbol. Show him the thing.
What is that, boobs?
It's a bee.
It's a complete ripoff.
That's what we think.
How's he kill him?
He breaks into houses, ties them up, strangles them. Calls himself BTK, for bind, torture, kill. David, why did you name yourself? I am the son of Sam. Go out and kill, commands Father Sam.
Press had called me the 44 caliber killer. They had this absurd theory the gun somehow symbolized my penis. I'm not some crazed sex killer. I needed a name that explained who I really was, that I was being controlled by a 3,000-year-old demon. People need to know demons are real. The Exorcist is based on actual shit.
You saw The Exorcist.
Everyone did.
You read a lot about demons and exorcisms before the killings?
Maybe.
These are my resources, the URLs for the images, and the websites I use for research. Thank you for your time, and have a great night.